Story 1. When I started calling myself beautiful, even when I didn't believe it at first, talking yourself up builds confidence the same way that making fun of yourself can tear it down. Story 2. The fact that I was dark-skinned and therefore could never be considered beautiful had been drilled into me since childhood, and I deeply believed it. But my husband has been smitten with me 2 decades after we first started dating and reminds me from time to time that I am incredibly beautiful. This truly helped me reframe the idea of beauty. Now, I am able to look back and recall times when guys tried flirting with me or wooing me, but I completely missed the cues because I truly believed I could never be desirable. The internalized colorism was so strong. There are still people who would reject me for not being beautiful due to my skin color, but when I wear a sari and present myself smartly, I know I turn heads. Story 3. I'm 38 and I still don't. People tell me I am, and looking at the boyfriends I had in high school and college, they were all really good looking. I was bullied in high school by a group of other women for being different, and as a result, I have some lingering self-confidence issues that have carried with me into adulthood. Story 4. When I realized I don't find anyone else ugly. Everyone has some sort of beauty, so why was it different for myself? Story 5. When really attractive people started flirting with me and telling me I am attractive, I also began receiving more compliments from other women in public calling me beautiful randomly. I started doing the same because I realized how much it brightened my day. Story 6. When my now husband showed he was interested in me. Seriously, he is the hottest man in the world. Also, when I get relaxed and look in the mirror, it is like, oh my God, I am so pretty, but I cannot be the only person who feels like confidence comes and goes. Some days I just do not have it. Story 7. When women started smiling at me more often, I had a case of ugly duckling. Now, if I were to work out, I could reach my final form. Story 8. After I lost my hair from chemotherapy, I wanted so desperately to look like myself again, and not like Uncle Fester's love child. 3.5 years later, I am so grateful for my new life, and I am happy to recognize and be proud of the person staring back in the mirror. Story 9. It comes and goes, to be honest. Some days I feel beautiful and some days I feel like the ugliest troglodyte to walk the earth. Story 10. When everyone started telling me I look exactly like my mother as I grew up, I always thought she was the prettiest girl in the world. Story 11. When one day I was at the mall, 2 boys stared at me and the girl. One said to the other, "Look at what a pretty girl." Story 12. I was 19 on a date with an objectively attractive guy, which had never happened to me before. Mostly because I used to be insecure in high school and never dated much. I asked him why he had asked me out, and he said, "You really have no clue what you look like, do you?" It was a turning point for me and gave me confidence for life. Story 13. I am a fairly big man, but my face is quite attractive. It was prom night, and I received compliments from people I had never spoken to before. I realized that using gel and a fresh shave makes a difference. Story 14. Last Saturday, when I tried on and eventually bought my church wedding dress, I had to be 34 to realize it, but here we go. Story 15. When I finally believed in myself instead of relying on the validation of others, I looked at myself and liked what I saw. It only really started in my late 20s and early 30s. Story 16. When I started self-tanning, it just made me feel confident. Since then, whether I am tan or not, I look in the mirror and see exactly what my family, friends, and past or current lovers have been saying. Obviously, not everyone finds me beautiful, but the ones who matter do. Story 17. The first moment I saw myself in the mirror, I smiled and said, "Well, hello, you're kind of pretty." Story 18. Enough people have commented on it in a way that is not just being nice. When someone is angry at you for being attractive, you know. Story 19. I still struggle with it. People give me compliments every now and then, but I don't really believe in my heart that I am. I may think I look cute one day and later feel I am not good looking. That does not mean compliments do not make me feel good. But I tend to avoid drawing unnecessary attention to myself. Story 20. When I stopped carrying the weight of other people's expectations, I saw a quote that went something like this: "Flowers are pretty, but so are Christmas lights, and they look nothing alike. Story 21. One Direction told me that not knowing I was beautiful was what made me beautiful. So, I realized I was beautiful, which made me not beautiful, which made me beautiful, which made me realize that, which made me not beautiful. It is a vicious cycle. Story 22. When beautiful women compliment me, as a woman myself, I feel that a compliment from another woman is much more genuine and honest. Story 23. When I started to see my mother in myself, she was the most beautiful woman I have ever known. Although she is no longer here, I carry her grace and light. Story 24. When I started embracing the fact that I actually do not enjoy wearing a lot of makeup, if any at all, every year around June when my freckles come out, it is like my annual moment of realizing, oh, I am pretty. I love my freckles. I love how my eyes pop when I am tan. Story 25. I do not want to sound like I am seeking attention, but when I enter a place and the girls, if there are any, start fixing their hair or applying more gloss, I notice it. I am not saying this with any ill intent, just a small observation. Nochat. Story 26. When I saw people 5 to 10 years younger than me aging like sour milk, and people 5 to 10 years older than me looking older than my 70-year-old mother. Story 27. When I moved into a new class at school, a boy whistled at me. I had never felt anything but ugly, as that is what I was called for the majority of my childhood. Story 28. When I started receiving overwhelming feedback in person that I am beautiful and fashionable, it was hard for me to accept because I have been through a lot of negativity. Story 29. I am 44 years old and have always struggled to maintain a healthy weight. About 8 years ago, I lost weight to my ideal weight and did not recognize myself. I did not like what I saw and gained a little back. Now I feel pretty, beautiful, radiant, and confident. After 42 years, I can say that I feel well overall. I want to do, practice, and explore things I did not dare to before because I was overweight. Society can be very cruel. Story 30. When I was talking to one of my professors at college, she interrupted and said, "Your face is so beautiful." Story 31. I always knew, but my weight fluctuates a lot, so I've seen both sides. When you're conventionally beautiful, people are always complimenting you and staring. When working in customer service, the tips are usually generous. I realize I tend to get more chances than I should, and people generally like you and are curious about you. The negative side is dealing with insecure people who project onto you, friends who compete or put you down. People are quick to villainize me or paint me as self-absorbed just as quickly as they are to like me. Generally, being lusted over, or they make up an idealized version of you. Story 32. When I stopped comparing myself to others, got rid of social media, and began seeing myself through the eyes of people who love me and think I am beautiful. Story 33. I still struggle with it. I think I look more attractive after going from 245 to 155 pounds, but I would not say beautiful. I guess I feel a bit more confident. It does feel good when someone tells me I have big eyes or that they like my hair. Story 34. Guys I like would always like me back. Of course, I could also be just delusional since none of those relationships worked out until I met my significant other. Story 35. Honestly, not until I started working out did I start getting attention. However, beauty is both inside and out. I have seen many beautiful people who are absolutely ugly on the inside. Story 36. 10 years ago, I was 180 pounds and 6 feet 2 inches tall. I thought I was fat then. After a bad breakup, I gained almost 100 pounds. The difference in how people treated me then versus now has been eye-opening. You do not realize how much of a pass you get and the general acknowledgement you receive unless you look good. Realizing I was beautiful made me understand that everyone else is shallow. Story 37. After I got laser-assisted in situ keratomalusis after more than 20 years of glasses and contact lenses, I do not know what it was, but when I saw myself for the first time in the mirror, I cried. I thought to myself, I really am a beautiful woman. I am 34 years old, and all it took was laser-assisted in situ keratomalusis. Story 38. Went to the mirror one morning and thought, oh no, I'm black. I have never looked back. If I cannot even remember these small facts about myself consistently, then I have no right to call myself anything other than gorgeous. Story 39. This was after reading some posts, but I saw how my child is so beautiful, and she looks just like me, so I must be beautiful too. Story 40. When I started a relationship with a woman I thought was out of my league, it has now been 6 years and we have 2 children. I still can't believe my luck. To provide some perspective, she earns significantly more than I do, is highly educated, and is very attractive. If a woman like this calls me beautiful, then who am I to say I am not? Story 41. When I took psychedelic mushrooms, I realized my physical form is an absolute miracle and a gift that should not be scrutinized because of ever-changing worldly ideals of beauty that are manufactured to keep us insecure, so we give in to consumerism. Story 42. When 7 different lesbians over a period of 2 years told me I was way too good to be dating my boyfriend, now ex, and should leave him for them or better. They were all his friends, and it was the first time I was meeting them. It was always in front of him too. The last girl who said it to me, I asked why this happens to me so much, and she said, "Well, can you blame us? Have you seen you? Plus, you're smart and kind." I was like, damn, I guess I am beautiful inside and out. Weirdly, one of the nicest compliments I've ever gotten. Story 43. When I was told that I was beautiful every single day of my life, it became tiring after a while, but I trust my mother. Story 44. When I was around 16 years old and went through puberty, I began to blossom. I noticed men in church staring at me, and at first I couldn't understand why. But then, the more smiles and attention I received, the more I realized I had become a beautiful girl. However, this fades. Now that I am a woman of a certain age, I understand this. Story 45. When I saw my behavior changing, I realized I am no longer hyperreactive to situations. I stay calm, listen more, and react peacefully and thoughtfully. I like the person I am becoming. It makes me feel good about myself. Story 46. The girl who got my entire school to bully me for seemingly no reason. I was new and had never spoken a word to her before and genuinely didn't understand why everyone hated me. Became best friends with my cousin after graduation and told her that she only did it because she was jealous that a boy said he thought I was cute. I have always been an out lesbian to anyone who actually cared to ask, so I just thought women hated me because I was ugly and inconveniencing them. I felt really horrible, but it turns out they were just bored or jealous or something. It has been very slow, but I have come to think I am actually really pretty. Story 47. When my girlfriend said I was, and before that, beautiful women would tell me I am good-looking or handsome. I thought, am I? They all said yes because I have a full head of thick hair and a nice beard. I thought, wow, okay, cool. Definitely a confidence booster. I guess being 6 feet 6 inches helps too. Story 48. I figured out I couldn't be too bad the first time I was asked out, but I don't think I really thought of myself as beautiful until a friend of mine gave me a TED talk about the importance of confidence. He could not be more right about the world of difference being comfortable in your own skin makes on how others perceive you. Story 49. I was active duty in the Navy at the time, home for the weekend and ordered pizza. I had on a white t-shirt that the Navy wears under all their uniforms and shorts. The shirts have to be tight to make the collar smooth. A wrinkled collar is actually a uniform violation. Looking back, it showed off my body pretty well. I've known my face isn't too bad to look at. I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall and weigh between 190 and 200 pounds. But I opened the door and the girl delivering the pizza checked me out. Hard. So hard. She even covered her mouth, fumbled her words when we spoke briefly, and kept staring at my body, definitely not looking at my eyes. Took me a while to process what happened. I just thanked her, gave a decent tip, and shut the door. But it stuck with me. That was 15 years ago, but to be honest, I still look and feel pretty good. Story 50. Inside or out? Out. Everyone told me my whole life. In high school and beyond, I could get any guy I wanted. Inside, after a lot of hard work on myself and realizing that others do not seem to have the same compassion I have, I also found out others do not give their time and money to help others like I do. Story 51. I turned 40 recently and looked back at old pictures of myself. I thought, geez, I was actually really pretty. as I had always thought I was ugly. I haven't changed much, so I realized that I am still pretty. Story 52. People keep telling me I am. People stare at me in public a lot, especially men, and it is uncomfortable. I was the ugly duckling growing up and was bullied relentlessly until late high school, so I still struggle with being seen. Once I got out of a toxic relationship a few years ago, I started noticing my own beauty. Honestly, I think my personality is what really makes me beautiful. My external appearance is simply a bonus. Story 53. I turned 40 recently and looked back at old pictures of myself. I thought, geez, I was actually really pretty. I always thought I was ugly, but I haven't changed much, so I realized that I am still pretty. Story 54. I turned 40 recently and looked back at old pictures of myself. I thought, geez, I was actually really pretty. I had always thought I was ugly, but I haven't changed much. I realized that I am still pretty. Story 55. When I traded my glasses in for contact lenses back in the day, glasses were pretty ugly, not popular like they are today, and they made me self-conscious. I was really shy, even voted shyest girl. Once I got rid of those, I finally got noticed. Since I am nearsighted, my eyes always look tiny with glasses. I never realized how big they were before. I remember working a cash register, and the most popular guy in school who never gave me a second look was smiling eye to eye. It felt awesome because I knew if he were to ask me out, I could unapologetically say no. I basically had my pick of the litter after that. But at around 46, I started noticing things going south. I used to look 5 to 10 years younger than I was, but started looking my age. By 50, oh my gosh. By 60, yikes. I will not even let my daughter post pictures of me on her social media now. Story 56. When I traded my glasses for contact lenses, back in the day, glasses were pretty ugly and not popular like they are today. They made me self-conscious. I was really shy and even voted shyest girl. Once I got rid of them, I finally got noticed. Since I am nearsighted, my eyes always look tiny with glasses. I never realized how large they were before. I remember working a cash register, and the most popular guy in school who never gave me a second look was smiling at me. It felt awesome because I knew if he asked me out, I could unapologetically say no. I basically had my pick of the litter after that. But at around 46, I started noticing things going south. I used to look 5 to 10 years younger than I was but started looking my age. By 50, it was surprising. By 60, it was concerning. I do not even let my daughter post pictures of me on her social media now. Story 57. I have never been beautiful. I have been called ugly since I was 5 years old by kids in school and relatives. My own mother told me I looked like a fat, ugly pig. Story 58. 6 years ago, I looked better. Over the past couple of years, my appearance has worsened. I may need medical intervention to address my health issues. Story 59. Perfection in imperfection. My mindset, how kind I am, where I draw my lines, how well I understand, and my heart. I am beautiful. Most of you are as well. Story 60. Mostly it happens when I am sitting in the bathtub. For some reason, I have a moment there where I say to myself, holy wow, you are so attractive. Story 61. I drew myself and looked at all the beautiful and imperfect parts of my body. I started enjoying my appearance. I look human with all my imperfections, and I love being human. Story 62. The moment I realized it was last year. I wouldn't stop getting compliments from random strangers about my appearance. Many children also told me I am pretty, and I hope they are truthful. Story 63. When my children were born, they were the most beautiful things I had ever seen. I made them, so I must be beautiful too. Story 64. When I looked at older pictures, I did not like growing up then, and now I am like, you were fine as hell. Story 65. If this is directed towards women, the more accurate question may be, what made you think that you were not beautiful? We are not born thinking we are ugly. We are not born feeling worthless or like we do not matter. This is taught to you either directly or indirectly. Story 66. When I moved to a different country, I stood out because of how I looked. Back home, I hated how I looked and was always looked down on because of my skin color. Moving out, I felt special and able to be myself in my skin. Then I realized I am beautiful just how I am. Story 67. When I stopped caring what others thought and started doing things that made me feel good about myself, I developed a look that is unique to me and me only. Once I accepted that, my inner beauty began to shine more than ever due to genuine happiness. I love the way I look. Story 68. When I reached the point where men were stopping their cars in the street to ask me out, I realized I could not go anywhere without being approached by someone. Story 69. I thought it was totally normal for everyone to smile at you, say hello, make offers to buy food, and offer seats. Then a friend said, "I love talking to strangers a lot," and wondered, aren't we all always talking to strangers? Story 70. Maybe since I was around 6, it is not really something you think about at that age, but I remember noticing that I got a lot of attention from boys. Story 71. When I started realizing I don't behave well and try to be good not just to gain something, but because I truly want to be a good person, I also understood that my appearance is not the most important. I won't pretend otherwise. I still spend some effort to look good. I might be just average, but I feel more beautiful now because I know I try to be a good person and hope to improve a bit each day. Story 72. When I see the way my husband looks at me or truly compliments me, I have so many amazing people in my life who tell me I am pretty, but it just feels different when he says it. Story 73. I was complimented by random people multiple times. I realized I was pretty. Otherwise, I grew up being told I was ugly. Story 74. I just realized I don't care about people's opinions. I may not be beautiful, but I love myself and my body, and that's what matters. Story 75. When I dropped a friend who was toxic and told me how ugly I was, a little while later I started loving myself. I thought to myself, if I can attract men whom I find attractive, then surely I am attractive myself. In my head, I refused to be negative to myself and tried not to listen. After you tell yourself you are beautiful, you start to believe it. Yes, there are some days I do not feel good about myself, but most of the time I do. Story 76. Partners stay with me even though I am annoying, do not ask questions, am self-centered, and lack social skills. Story 77. When I realized that I am a genuine person with sincere intentions, and that I never wanted to take people for granted or become opportunistic. When I realized that the fact that children and babies are naturally attracted to me is an absolute blessing, and I should be grateful. I inspire warmth and safety in those innocent souls. I adore children and melt at the sight of babies. When I realized that I may have acne-prone skin, but at least I will not have as many wrinkles as others with dry skin. I am also Latina. Curly hair and natural curves are blessings and unique features. I no longer take them for granted. Story 78. When everyone in our friend groups from church and family suddenly wanted me to date their sons or grandsons. Story 79. When? I didn't realize there was a specific time it happens. Does anyone have a time machine that could take me into the future to when it does happen? Many thanks. Story 80. When a group of people told me, I think it is really hard for even very attractive people to actually see themselves as attractive, especially men, since you see yourself all the time. I reconnected with an old friend group that was entirely female. One night, I was calling one of them, and they said, "Yeah, we used to talk about you all the time because we all had crushes on you." I was like, what? Damn. My life would have been so much better if I had known. Other close friends told me online friend groups started calling me gorgeous and telling me I should model. One of them even told me that if we were not friends first, she would have been interested. Personally, I did not and still do not see myself as that attractive, but I guess I will take their word for it. Story 81. When I realized that my beauty is not defined by other people and is determined by myself, I became much happier and view myself in a more positive light. Since I stopped caring about what others thought of me, I have felt this change. Do not get me wrong. It takes a long time and a lot of work to change your mindset from impressing others to impressing yourself, but it is all worth it. Story 82. A few years ago, it was still hard for me sometimes. Luckily, my sweet husband is very convincing. He is a big part of me realizing that I am beautiful. Story 83. A little background. I had acne for 12 years, but recently it improved a little. When I look at myself in the mirror, my self-esteem goes up. Story 84. When almost everyone in my life says so, most importantly the women who taught me what real love actually is, what it truly feels like to give and receive it. Not only expressed it, but could explain exactly what and why they found attractive about me specifically. I still feel everyone is expected to front with false modesty, and I refuse to live in a world where the confident and attractive are treated like they are committing a social crime by existing. This clearly defines the problem. Some time ago, I remembered when I first told my girlfriend how beautiful she looks. She said, "I'm even better looking in person," which to me felt very positive and reassuring. To be talking to someone who knows who she is, knows her worth, it's true. By the way, I expressed this to her. Compare this to my poor friend who dared to acknowledge out loud in front of an insecure, narcissistic, socially awkward guy expected to win her over that she knows she's not ugly, which is still a soft sell because she's gorgeous. This painfully average, insecure man actually said, "Getting a bit high and mighty, aren't we? Here's a clue. If you don't like attractive women acknowledging exactly what they are, stop trying to date them." The hypocrisy of expecting so much when you have so little to offer is astounding. Male loneliness epidemic? It sounds more like a justified loser epidemic to me. Story 85. Strangers treated me way worse after I put on too much depression weight and way better after I lost it. Story 86. A few years ago, I had a real glow up, and it felt like everywhere I went, people looked at me as if I had a beautiful diamond on my forehead. They seemed transfixed on something wonderful, but I never felt like it could be me. It was kind of surreal. Since then, I have had a few stressful years of poor diet, exercise, and sleep, and it does not happen anymore. Probably for the best. Builds character, I suppose. Story 87. I don't ever get compliments unless I ask for them, but I really had to notice the empathy I possess and that light I call beautiful. I am a pretty lady because of my empathy. 24 years and shining in Africa. Story 88. I looked at myself in the mirror one day and thought I was looking at a different person, though it was the same bare face I have always seen each morning. I thought to myself, is that what I have always looked like? I don't look half bad. That meant a lot to me then. A high school sophomore who spent too much time trying to fix herself in the bathroom mirrors, getting frustrated. Story 89. When my grandfather died 2 years ago, I saw all the old photos he kept and realized I looked just like him. Story 90. I have not yet. I never felt that way. I even tried for years to tell myself that I was beautiful every day in the mirror, but that does not work. I have just learned to embrace the ugly. Story 91. When I realized the universe never fails to remind me every day. Strangers smile at me, compliment me, hold doors for me, and I am not charged extra at restaurants when I ask for additional items. Children smile and stare at me. People trust me with their deepest secrets. Animals approach me. I am so full of love that everyone I talk to mentions how my energy positively impacts theirs. I choose love and kindness every day, and although I may not consider myself conventionally attractive, everyone falls in love with who I am as a being, and that is enough for me. Story 92. There has not been a day that I can recall without feeling that way in my life. I suppose since before I can remember. Story 93. It depends on the day. I don't apply makeup, but there are days when I pass by the mirror and look again with surprise, saying, "Is this me?" Then I dance and imagine being a famous actress. It just happens randomly. I don't know how. When it happens, I am not coming out of the shower and not doing my hair. I always knew I had some beauty, but once I embraced my skin color, brown, and hair type, curly, I started to love myself more. However, I still have a masculine body, which sometimes lowers my confidence. Story 94. One time, a friend of mine invited me to pregame with her roommates before heading out to a Halloween party in college. When I walked in, one of her roommates said, "Oh, great. My friend's name. You didn't tell us she was that attractive." That was probably one of my favorite compliments. Story 95. I knew I was beautiful physically because I received many compliments on my appearance, but I did not start feeling beautiful from within until I chose to be myself and only did what made me happy. Story 96. Senior year of high school. I did not think I was ugly, but I did not fully realize how pretty I was until then. Story 97. People thought I was a girl when I was little. As I grew up, people said I looked much younger than I was. Eventually, I put two and two together and realized I was good-looking, man pretty, as my friend told me. Now, not so much. Father Time caught up with me in my late 30s and now early 40s. I'm a bit more weathered and chubby, but if I were more into fitness and didn't smoke, I could improve that a bit. I don't actively think about what I look like. It's like a lack of object permanence for my own face. In my mind, it's just an empty space I look out from. Story 98. When I started noticing people staring at me in public, I felt really good when I worked out and looked in the mirror. I received compliments from random strangers and close friends alike. Animals, children, and people of all ages treat me with kindness and often stare in public. I truly believe it is a soul thing, not a physical thing. Some people would be really mean and hateful for no reason. Jealousy can drive people to be hateful. Insecure people, both men and women, could be more unpleasant towards me. I knew it was not the way I treated them, but rather the way my appearance made them double down on their insecurities. Story 99. Not until I looked at a photo of myself as a freshman in high school, before I lost my hair and gained 250 pounds, did I realize how much I had let myself go. It was pathetic. Story 100. Fake it until you make it. Statistically, a couple of million people will find anyone on this planet gorgeous and to die for, due to different preferences or beauty standards. So why not be one of them? Why not force yourself to love yourself and show up for yourself until you believe every part of it? Story 101. After high school and again in my mid to late 30s, I really wish people, mainly my mom, would have told me earlier. Story 102. My boyfriend told me that he feels selfish for having me only for himself, and the Lululemon employee gave me a 15% beauty discount. Story 103. Honestly, it is not hard to tell as the whole world will let you know. Even if you do not see yourself that way, strangers of different ages and backgrounds will make comments on your appearance every day, and it will be impossible to ignore. Story 104. About 30 years later, when I was looking at old photographs, I realized I was very insecure at the time the photographs were taken. I should not have been. Story 105. When I had a best friend who I thought was incredibly beautiful, people started asking us if we were sisters. Story 106. I decided to download a dating application when I could not find a proper date, and I received many different messages right away. It was strange because at first I thought it was just spam, but they were real people. I decided to post a few more interesting images, and I even got a message from someone claiming they knew me in real life and thought I was attractive. To this day, I still do not know who it was, but I still smile thinking about it. Story 107. Around 17 to 18, I grew into my features and started getting a lot of attention. It took some time to realize that I was actually perceived as attractive because I had never received that external validation before. I am 27 now and do not doubt it. I know it and use it to my advantage because why not? Story 108. I hated myself throughout my childhood. Then, around age 16, I realized I was beautiful. I have gained some weight recently, and I have lost that feeling. I hate what I see in the mirror. I just wish I could go back to the person who thought that way just a couple of years ago. Story 109. Whenever women at work compliment me and call me beautiful, I sometimes feel ugly, but their compliments really make me feel beautiful. I have also been told this by my family my whole life, but I never really started believing it until a couple of years ago. Story 110. When I finally went to therapy at the age of 20, there was a specific day I remember looking at myself in the mirror and seeing a whole different perspective. I knew I had to take better care of myself and my heart. Story 111. When multiple strangers in 1 week go out of their way to tell you how pretty you are, not gonna lie, that feels good. Story 112. I was sitting, minding my own tortured existence, when I looked up and saw my face in the mirror. And just like that, it hit me. I am beautiful. painfully, unfairly beautiful, and I have been beautiful ever since. Story 113. When I learned to accept and love myself and stop basing my self-worth primarily on what others thought of me. Story 114. When my ex cheated on me, I told someone else I met. He was completely shocked as to why. He is my boyfriend now, and I hold no grudges. Story 115. I caught myself in a reflection and I was smiling and laughing. I looked so happy and realized, oh my God, I am beautiful. Story 116. People stare at me. It's either because I'm weird looking or I'm beautiful. I'd like to believe it's because I'm beautiful. Story 117. After a long and difficult day of wearing makeup, I cleaned it off and was happy to see myself as I am, like bumping into an old friend I hadn't seen in a while. I still greet my natural face when I remove makeup. It may seem silly, but it has really helped with my confidence. Story 118. When I am stoned or drunk and look in a trashy bathroom mirror, I remember one time I was with my boyfriend at a house party. We went to the bathroom together because I don't like going alone. I looked in the mirror and thought, oh wow, I look so hot. I'm really pretty right now. He said, yeah, see, I told you. That's how you look all the time. I was so happy. When I toured college campuses, a lot of attractive guys were staring and smiling at me. Also, my 4-year-old cousin complimented my purple eyeliner yesterday. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.